Welcome back, guys. You're watching Day Prime, and I'm here with my next guest,
Yes, sir.
who happens to be the reigning Calypso Monarch. Let's welcome to the set,
Yeah, man.
Chucky Gordon. Welcome, brother.
Thank you for having me, sir.
What's going on? How things?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah?
Everything is fantastic.
Are your Christmas shaping up?
Well, the Christmas done shape already. Carnival shaping now. Yeah, but it has been a fantastic year. You know, coming out of the National Calypso Monarch,
Yeah.
winning that, and then, you know, having a successful Soca season as well, and then being able to travel throughout the entire year and perform consistently and marry the two, you know, which is something.
How easy is that for you?
Well, I've always asked, I've been always asked that question. My experience has been culture and all aspects of culture.
Right.
So what I do is essentially what I know and who I am, because I've been involved in Best Village, Parang, Junior Calypso, and then in the past 6-7 years, Soca. But more than that, my family has been everything to me, which is also the exposure to culture.
Right.
Because my dad has been an arranger for many groups, Parang, Soca Monarch, Judge, Pan Judge. So that is my exposure, so naturally that has become part of who I am. So the transition, it has become second nature now. It's almost as though I could move easily into executing a calypso to executing a groovy.
Right.
You know, so it's no real contemplation or thought process behind it anymore.
You've dabbled a lot in the theatre.
Yeah, man.
Is that on the back burner now that the Soca and the music career is at the level that it
because
is?
you know how time consuming and demanding being involved in theatre could be. I try to maintain a presence with Malik Folk Performance Company.
Okay.
But it's still difficult because of the schedules and the time for rehearsals, so I don't really try to commit myself to that too much. But it's definitely a passion of mine, and at some point I would definitely like to get back into the whole theatre arena. Yeah, man.
What is the level of pressure, would you say, to recreate that title-winning for next year?
Well, I mean,
from outside or from yourself?
Well, everywhere you go, and that's the thing, and that's a nice question. I like the way you frame the question, because the pressure comes from external world.
Right.
People telling
Only?
me. Well, this is. So I'll explain to you my transformation. The external world says to you, you know, you've done this, you need to come as good as.
Right.
You know, comments coming from certain quarters would have been, well, at least you have to defend well. You ain't going to win again, you have to defend well, you know, because you're already there, you could prepare, all those sorts of things. And so that's the external pressure. But internally for me, I try not to bound myself to comments and thoughts, and I try to remove what I call the spirit of comparison. Last year was last year. Why compare last year to this year? You know, so my solution to that is just essentially to do me, to do my vibes, put in the work, and whatever the outcome may be, I accept that. So I attach no value to an outcome, but I just put in the work. So for me, the process is very important.
I hear you.
So I'm not concerned really about what happens next year if I defend well, but what I'm concerned about is putting in the work, and that is the satisfaction and the fulfillment that I receive. So I don't know if I answer your question.
You did.
Yeah.
Fireburn people are going to do me.
Exactly, and it's the process.
It's
So when you talk about pressure, part of the process of, I wouldn't say recreating, but satisfying self internally in terms of doing me, is preparing as much work as possible. So one of the tracks I'm presenting today, that's one of the groovy contributions. But also in terms of calypso, I have about 6 calypsos of different natures, if I could say that. So that what I would do now is when the season kicks in, I could see what people gravitate towards. So I will know which 2 I could select moving into the finals.
I like that strategy. A lot of people they do one thing and they put that forward.
Because that's part of the challenge with the Calypso Monarch, because the Calypso Monarch, you move into the season with 1 calypso. So most calypsonians, you have that song that you would prepare for the 10th, and then you would appear in Skinner Park with 1 song. But then you have to prepare a final song, which is the last week of Carnival, moving to Sunday. The advantage that I had was I had a pan song that I prepared for Skiffle Bunch. They performed that in Panama Finals. That was also a social commentary. So I had that song since November of last year. So I was well versed and equipped with the song.
So are you saying that Calypsonians prepare the second song that they're going to sing for the Monarch?
Yeah, most people.
Within that week?
Yeah, most
really?
people. Because you don't know if you're making the finals.
Okay.
So for some people, they would consider it a waste of resources trying to do 2 songs when you ain't sure you will make the finals.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so yes, it's a difficult balancing act. You know, the ones with the resources to prepare more than 1 song, they will do so, and naturally, if they reach the finals, they will be better prepared than most, you know. And that was the situation with me, because I had performed that song, the second song, in the Soca Monarch semi-finals. So I was aware of the type of presentation that was required and that sort of thing. And then, well, the first song was the song that I won Sstarr Park with. So I was in pole position moving into the finals, you know. So that's part of the strategy and the understanding.
Very nice.
Man.
There was a bit of a negative feedback when you got the title. People were saying that your stepmother was how did you take that? How did you deal with it?
As I say, the external world is like that. The ego and the mind and people's thoughts, not necessarily grounded on fact and objectivity. Most times it's based on feelings and emotions. I think the genesis of it was the popular song at the time. Moving into the final was 1 song. I can make the comment, it was Boa, right? Mr. Shack's Boa. That was the popular song. So people felt moving into the finals, Mr. Shack would be the main horse in the race, so to speak. But not feeling to recognize that, all right, 10th Sstarr Park is one type of audience, but in the March Gras, you don't have the kind of emotive response that you will get from a Sstarr Park. So it's more about the performer and how they deal with the space that is the Savannah. And also, it's a 2-song competition. So a lot of people are unaware that it's a 2-song competition, and they feel that there's 1 song that can in truth and in fact, my second song got the most points in the entire night in 2 rounds. Okay. Yeah, and that's knowledge that people would not necessarily have. So that's what I'm saying, it's not grounded on fact. It's very much opinion based.
With this in mind, you could easily brush.
Because I was more concerned about the fact that I was thoroughly satisfied with my performances on the night, regardless of the outcome. You know, and in truth and fact, when I finished the second song, I said to myself, first or second. And that was the feeling pervading through the body at the time. So, you know, people will talk, that's comments, it's entertainment, people have opinions, and it shouldn't have to be. And it shouldn't have to be go to. It should have to be go to. Yeah, but.
How did it feel hearing your name called in first position?
Yeah, man, that was a unexplainable feeling to know that you grew up in a family where the March and the Calypso Monarch was held with such high esteem. You know, as a religion, we sat on a Carnival Sunday night and looked at the March Gras show with the big carb sign in the center. You know, my father was a judge in the Calypso Monarch. So my uncle was a former Calypso Monarch Penguin. Penguin's my uncle, He wrote some of my early calypsos in Junior Calypso Monarch. You know, so the Calypso Monarch and the art form of Calypso was always a part of my life. So the achievement wasn't just fulfillment for me, but a manifestation of the family, and what we represent.
Was it bittersweet not having your father witness this achievement for you?
The bittersweet feeling, I think, took place in 2012 with the Independence Monarch. This time it was more celebratory. I think I'd kind of evolved out of the feeling of sadness into a place of, you know what, I do it for him. I'm going to celebrate his work and the contribution he made to the art form. Because he did so much work in the art form, and I think a lot of people felt it was unrecognized. So it's almost as though I am the vicarious existence. You know, that he would have liked to
embrace that more.
And I embrace that. I embrace that.
Well, we're speaking with Chucky Gordon, the reigning Calypso Monarch of TNT. We're going to take a little break. When we come back, we're going to get into his new contribution for Carnival 2015. Stay tuned. You're watching Day Prime.